Lately, I've been doing videos on a lot of the older tools in my shop. Today, I thought I would throw out a video on one of the newer tools that I have in my shop, one that I use more than probably most. Outside of the hammer and the Sawzall, it's probably one that gets used and abused more than any other as well, and that is the 4.5-inch angle grinder. If you do not have a 4.5-inch angle grinder in your shop and you do any metal work, any fabrication, welding, that would be a shock to me. If you're a homeowner and you're looking to expand your horizons a little bit and you want to take maybe on some fabrication, some welding, get into blacksmithing possibly, probably one of the first purchases you're going to make is a 4.5-inch angle grinder. They're that useful and they're that necessary. As you can see, I've got 4 in my shop. One of them, the yellow one, sticks out, and there's a lot of red in my shop. If I ever took you on a shop tour, you'd see that. And I am not a Milwaukee fanboy by any stretch. For me, tools, you have to earn my loyalty, and how you do that is by performing day in and day out, year after year. If I find a tool that does that for me, I'm loyal. Until the company gives me a reason not to be, I'm going to be loyal for life. And for me, Milwaukee is one of those brands. I learned early on, and when I was young, you get what you pay for. And sometimes you have to save up to get it, but in the end, it's going to save you money, time and money. And that's why I've stuck with Milwaukee. Not that DeWalt is a bad brand by any stretch. And I'll talk you through a little bit about why I've got one and only one yellow tool in my shop. This angle grinder here is a 8.5-inch, or 8.5-inch, an 8.5 amp, excuse me, grinder. It's the first grinder I ever bought. It's probably about 25, 30 years old as I hit my head. This other grinder here, the yellow one, is the second grinder I ever bought. I bought this because I went in to go get the newer version of the Milwaukee 4.5-inch angle grinder and it wasn't available. Milwaukee not being available and knowing a little bit about DeWalt, I grabbed the DeWalt because I needed the tool for the job that day, and that was what was on the shelf. And I'll tell you, I've been pleasantly surprised with the DeWalt. The DeWalt has performed just as well as any of my Milwaukee angle grinders. I haven't seen any issue at all with the way it performs. And if I was in a pinch again, and Milwaukee wasn't available, I'd buy a DeWalt and I wouldn't even think twice about it. It's earned my loyalty. I've had it in the shop for probably, I don't know, a few years now. It's been through enough that I can honestly say it's earned a good reputation with me and what I do. That said, there are some differences between yellow and red, and I'm going to walk you through them right now. So the yellow grinder is a paddle switch grinder. If you can see here, there's a safety. As you push the safety down, you're able to push the paddle switch. That's what activates the grinder. Most of the grinders, all the grinders I have are activated by a paddle switch and a similar type safety. There are other grinders out there that have got a slide switch up here on the top or on the side or up on the top. To be honest with you, I've never used those. The only thing that I've ever used are the pistol grip with the trigger or the paddle switch. I have heard that the slide switch can be problematic from time to time, but I can't speak to that because I've never used one. So this for me is quick, it's easy to activate and get you on your material pretty quick. If you've got one to buy, I would probably look at getting something with a paddle switch. The DeWalt is big around. It's a lot of tool to hold on to. I have pretty good sized hands, and my hands will not go all the way around this tool. The other thing, even though I like the paddle switch, when I reach for a tool, normally when you grab a tool, a 4.5-inch angle grinder, you're going to grab it by the side handle every single time. And your next motion is to come up and grab your tool. With DeWalt, their paddle switch is activated almost in a downward motion. Safety, I activate with my finger, and then I push straight down. That's not tough to do, but it's not a natural motion for me and how I use my tools. Again, if I'm grabbing the grinder, I'm grabbing it by the side handle, and I'm coming up from the bottom. And then it's a downward motion on the DeWalt to activate it. Now that might seem like a small thing, and for a lot of you it probably is. For me, it's a little different, it's a little cumbersome, and if I've got other choices available, which I do, I may pick another tool because of that. Okay? You combine that with the fact that it's a lot to hold on to. Again, look at the distance between my thumb and my finger. Okay? Here's another thing. They're all going to come with guards, all of your angle grinders, and for me personally, with what I do, I don't really have to ever remove this, but there are times where I've thought about it. Don't remove the guard. There's been times where the guard has literally saved me. Items about ready to come in my direction that get captured by the guard, so don't take off the guard. This particular guard, however, when you compare it to a Milwaukee, you can see the difference. Okay? This guard over here is about 1 3/8, I believe, and this guard on the Milwaukee is 1 inch. And that may not seem like much, but when you get into a tight space, if you don't want to take the guard off, that's a big deal. Okay? So that's the DeWalt. Let's get into the Milwaukee now. In that same vein, when we're talking about paddle switches, again, we're going to grab the grinder by the side handle, and our next motion is to grab the tool. As I grab this tool, my natural motion coming up from the bottom, look at this Milwaukee. I mean, this is almost worth the tool right here. Just this. As I come up from the bottom, I hit the safety switch, off goes the safety, and you can see the paddle switch going down. That's one swift motion going up. And it's one-handed at that point. Here's the other thing. It necks down at the handle. I can almost touch my hand. Remember, I had probably almost 2 inches between fingers on the DeWalt. This you don't see in a 4.5-inch angle grinder very often. Normally when you see a skinnier handle like this, it's on the bigger 7 to 9-inch grinders that have a trigger. They come back to a real skinny handle in the back. When you combine this paddle switch with this skinny handle and the reduced guard, as much as I said the DeWalt will perform any task that the Milwaukee will, those 3 things alone set the Milwaukee, in my opinion, way ahead of the DeWalt. Whoever designed the features on the 4.5-inch angle grinder for Milwaukee better have the corner office, in my opinion. Let me contrast that with the old Milwaukee. So the old Milwaukee has a paddle switch. Its safety is actuated in a downward motion. And even this switch at a 25-year-old machine, in my opinion, is better than the switch on the DeWalt. And the reason being is its length. Where this is a really short paddle switch, this being a long paddle switch, even though it's a downward motion, which is not natural, it's a sliding motion. And in my sliding motion, I can deactivate the safety and it's power on all at the same time. And then, even though this one it looks like it's about the same size as the DeWalt, it's not. It's about a 1/2 inch smaller, just simply because the trigger gets depressed in the back here, and that's where you gain your 1/2 inch. The guard on this one, this old Milwaukee, is about as big as the DeWalt. So I've never liked the size of this guard. But those are the negatives that I have against the DeWalt. and probably would only buy this DeWalt again if I was in a pinch. The Milwaukee is my go-to, period, end of story. I don't know how you improve upon this design. I really don't. It's that good. Next thing I want to talk about, you're probably wondering why I have 4. Every guy, like I said, should have at least one grinder if they're serious in their shop and they're getting work done. Grinders have different types of wheels, as I hit my head again, that you can put on each one of these grinders. This one's a wire wheel, used for taking off rust, used for a wire wheel finish, finishes on concrete, all sorts of different things. This is a flat disc. A flat disc is used for grinding and polishing. This is a cutoff wheel, which I need to replace. Cutting through metal, cutting through wood, cutting through concrete. I mean, it's an abrasive wheel. It's got so many different uses and applications. This is a grinding wheel that I use here. When you get in the middle of a project and you're cutting metal, then you're deburring, heavy deburring, and then you go over and do some light deburring maybe, and then you do some polishing and some grinding. You don't want to be pulling off each individual wheel every single time you change tasks. It would take you up to half an hour on some projects that I've done, or more, to go through that process and change them out. I've acquired these over the years. It's not that I went out and bought all of these at the same time. So if you're serious about what you do in your shop, I would set aside some money, and when money allows, go out and buy yourself another angle grinder, to the point where you could have 2, 3, 4. It'll save you time, it'll save you effort, it'll make your tasks that you're trying to do around the house and in your shop that much more enjoyable. So for me, Milwaukee's the clear-cut winner when it comes to 4.5-inch angle grinders, for all the reasons I mentioned. I just don't think there's any way, like I said, to improve upon it. DeWalt, I've got no problems as far as getting out there and getting the job done. It's just the guard, the handle, and the paddle switch. Milwaukee wins out every day of the week. And that's not me being a Milwaukee fanboy. That is me using the tool day in and day out and all that I do in my shop. Your opinion may vary, and that's fine. We're all entitled to our opinions in this world, but for me, clear-cut winner, hands down, Milwaukee 4.5-inch angle grinder. I will put the item number down in the description for both of these models, and you can go check them out on your own and let me know what you think. I appreciate you watching my videos. Really helps me out if you can give me a like, share the video, and subscribe. Lets me know that you're enjoying the content. Like I've said before, I enjoy putting out this content. I love tools, and I love talking about my tools and what they're able to get done. And if any of it helps you along the way, it's what I'm here to do. Appreciate you watching again. Take care. See you on the next video.